Hey everybody, and welcome back to Life with Lolo. It's time for our weekly recap of Married at First Sight. This is season 12, episode 7. Is it 7? Yes, 7, and it's titled, How Do You Know If You Are in Love? Alright, y'all, before I jump into this recap review, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. And if you end up liking this recap review, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button along with the share button. Oh, God, let's jump into this episode, y'all. Y'all already know I'm about to go off, okay? Y'all already know. I will say that this episode was really good. It did leave a lot of jewels and stuff like that. I do appreciate when the most of the experts, when some of the experts come, because they do be dropping some jewels here and there. And this was a good episode. I really like this episode. But y'all know I'm gonna go in, okay? So just be prepared, okay? I'm giving y'all fair warning, so y'all know, okay? Don't be like, why is she go? Already gave y'all fair warning, okay? But let's start this episode. Let's go ahead and start this recap review. Now, this episode took place between days 7 and days 11, okay? So we got that all cleared up. So day 7, they're leaving Vegas or whatever. Vincent, let me tell y'all how I like Vincent, okay? If Vincent don't do nothing, he gonna promote the hell out his business, and I do not blame him, okay? He got his business on his mask. He got it on his shirt. I was like, I'm surprised they blur it out, but I guess they like, well, whatever. Let's just give him some coins or something like that so he can stay married to Brianna, because he gonna promote the hell out his thing on thing. He did it. I think he did it when they was flying there, and I think he did it another time too. But I was like, he is gonna promote the hell out his business, and I do not blame him. Anyway, y'all, we see Hayley. So she gives us like her own little camera view or something like that. And she tells us she at the airport by herself. So she says that she told Jacob that she was meeting the girls for drinks and stuff like that. And then he ended up just blowing up on her and accusing her of having a boyfriend at home. And she was like, that's crazy, because I've been single for 7 years. Like, where am I going to get this boyfriend out the blue? I'm just going to pull him from the sky and then have this boyfriend and stuff like that. So she felt some type of way, and she thought that he was going to apologize to her, but he didn't. She said, well, they're not really connecting. So what she did was switch her seat. So she moved near the exit row, and then he's somewhere else on the plane or whatever. Then we see that they're all going to be moving into the same complex together, and the houses look real cute and stuff like that. I did catch that they did not show Paige and Chris. They show all the other couples like a little glimpse of them moving into the apartments, but they did not show Paige and Chris. So I was like, something to pop off, and something did. Let's start with Brianna and Vincent. So Brianna already like, look, you need to take your shoes off. Vincent already walking in the house with his shoes on and stuff like that. He like, look, I'm messing up already. So she tells us how she likes to be clean and tidy, and while they was in the hotel, she had to clean up behind him a little bit. But she says she does that on a regular, and until he tells her that it bothers him, she's going to continue to do it or whatever. So he can be messy, and he's a little afraid of that. He wanted one of the bathrooms to be like the messy bathroom, and she was like, no, it has to be clean. So I was like, that's gonna be an issue. We see them drinking a little wine, and then Pastor Kyle comes over to visit. The little dog Cookie run up to the door and stuff, and Pastor Kyle wants to make sure they're going into the deeper issues and stuff like that. So he asked them, how they're doing and whatnot, and Vincent says that Brianna is exactly what he was looking for, and Brianna says that he's really kind. He checks in on her, so she really appreciates that. He says that she completes him and compliments him, and so it's like a real like love, like a little, like they're really cute together. So we already knew about that. So Pastor Kyle says, have y'all talked about finances? They like, yeah, we talked about that. And he wanted to make sure that she knew that he was just starting out as an entrepreneur, starting out with his business, and that she would have his back, support him and stuff like that, because that's really big to him. Because remember, his ex-girlfriend broke up with him because he started his own business and she wouldn't support him or whatever. So that's why they didn't work out. And she said that she's there for it. Like, she appreciates his drive. And when he lacks, she will pick up. So I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And so then he had promised her that she will be well off and that she'll get everything that she wants. So she said that she will work hard to get whatever the hell she wants. So that's why she gonna have his back until the end or whatever. And then he asked, did y'all talk about kids? She was like, yeah, we said we're gonna wait a few years for that because our goals right now, we got goals and then we want to travel and stuff like that. Pastor Kyle asked if they consummated the marriage. Of course, I thought it was funny how the dog was like, what? The dog looked up like, y'all did it? What? So then they was like, yeah, it was love at first sight. They just had like a bond, a click and stuff. And Brianna is basically like the woman he wants to spend the rest of his life with or whatever. And she felt good and she felt the same way about that. She said that she feels like she can just be herself around Vincent. She can just be goofy. She doesn't have to tone herself down. I was like, okay, girl. And what else happened? And they was like, they can't think of any issues they have or whatever. And so Pastor Kyle was like, well, y'all will have some issues because nobody is perfect and stuff. And he was saying like he is huge on respect, not saying like you, he was like not saying like you disrespecting me or anything like that, but he is huge on respect or whatever. And Pastor Kyle was like, well, what does respect look like? How does respect look like to you? Like communication respect or something like that? And he was like, well, you're more direct and I'm more like beating around the bush or whatever. And he was just like, my favorite line is not what you say, it's how you say it. So if your tone is all jacked up or whatever, I'm not going to receive that really well, right? So that's what Vincent was basically saying, like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it may be your tone, it's like how you communicate or whatever. Like, so she was like, well, I don't want to come off rude to my husband. I know I'm an assertive person, but I don't want to come off rude, especially to my spouse or whatever. So he was saying like, he's just afraid of how he'll react to her coming off so direct because I guess he's not used to people coming off so direct to him. So he is afraid on how he'll react because he'll interpret it as disrespect. I understood exactly what he was saying. And he was saying like he's laid back and he won't be confrontational until it gets to a point and then he just kaboom. That's not really good. You just need to say what you got to say at that point and not let it fester or whatever like that. So she was like, well, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So Pastor Kyle was like, well, just make sure you don't react in the wrong way because you know his heart and vice versa and stuff like that. And, he was saying like Vincent was just saying like we just communicate different, like our styles of communication is different, and that can happen in relationships, but you just have to come to for me, if our communication style is different, that's not a deal breaker. It's just letting you know like how I will need you to talk to me or so forth. Like don't trigger if you have like a trigger word or something like that, or maybe you just need to step back or point out like, look, this is what I'm talking about when you coming off a little harsh. Like, is this what you mean? Because that's how I'm perceiving it or whatever. So you just have to slow down and like think before you say whatever, before you react to that person. And like, it may be a little rough in the beginning or whatever, but once you get on a good flow, then it'll just keep flowing like that. But they have to really work at that because their communication styles are vastly different. And we saw that later on in the episode. Let's go and get down to that. So then they visit each other's place. So this is where they pack up their stuff, you know, take it to their apartment and stuff. So we see Vincent's place. His place is real. Was it Vincent? No. Then we saw her place first. Child, her TV was having a gangster lean. Why was her TV like... He was like, your TV a little drunk. I thought that was funny. So then she was packing up her stuff or whatever. And he was like, it's like a mini mall in here. She gonna need like her own closet or whatever. And child, he was joking like, have you thought about donating? She was looking like, donate? Well, he was like, no, I'm just kidding. He was about to get cut, okay? He was about to get cut. So then they go to his place or whatever. His TV, he was like, you see my TV real sober, like, or whatever. So they joking and stuff, and she likes his place. It's tidy. Then they get back to their combined place, like, you know, the apartment they're gonna be living in for 7 weeks or whatever. Vincent opens up this champagne bottle. So, you know, champagne, if you pop the top, some of it can spill out and stuff like that. So it ended up spilling out. I don't know if he shook it up or was shaking up from his bag or whatever, because he pulled it out of his book bag and then he popped it open and then it went spraying all over the place. So it spilled on the floor. She came with the towel, cleaned it up and stuff like that. Child, Lifetime is shady as hell, because every time Brianna spoke, it was like this dramatic music and then it was like a pause and then they looked at Vincent and stuff, and I was like, what she's saying is not that bad, but because they don't know each other, he doesn't really know like if she's joking or when she's not joking and stuff like that. So he was taking it in a different way than what she was giving it or whatever. Because what did she say? She said something like, well, it's the first time for everything. Because he was like, that's the first time that ever happened or whatever. So she was like, well, it's the first time for everything or whatever. And then he was just looking like, And so then he was like, oh man, I got it on my shirt. So then she was like, oh, of course you did. That's real Vinny of you or whatever. So it was like jokes or whatever. And if I would make those type of jokes if I've been with somebody for a long time and I know that person or whatever, or that person knows me or whatever like that, because that wouldn't have bothered me or whatever, because I'd be like, that is typical you, just always making a mess or whatever, or you're always feeding, like when people be dropping food on their chest or something like that, I'd be like, oh, you always feeding your titties or something like that. It's just jokes or whatever, but I would know that person to say that. He doesn't know her that well. They only known each other for 7 days and vice versa. So it didn't come off as a joke. And he didn't take it as a joke. His demeanor and everything shifted and she picked up on it. So she was like, well, what's wrong or whatever? You want to pack up? And he was like, no, I think I'm going to take the closet in here. You can take the closet in there. So I'm not like in your way or whatever. And she was like, something is wrong. So she asked him, and he was, instead of saying what it was, he was like, oh, I was just tired or whatever. So then she was like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll just unpack tomorrow. So then they go to the bathroom, close the door. And so she was like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Whatever like that. And so he was like, well, I'm just tired of your smart comments. So she was like, for real? Like, are you serious or whatever? And so then they get into bed and he was like, I feel like you really being smart with me or whatever. And she was like, well, I was just like, what are you talking about or whatever? Like, was it in a joking manner? Like, was I joking and stuff? And he was like, oh, I don't think you was joking and stuff. Like, I just want you to show me some respect or whatever. She was just looking like, I don't really understand and stuff. And he was like, well, I feel like you belittled me because you're talking about, well, that's how Vinny of you to do that. And that's belittling me. And she was like, well, I wasn't trying to do that or whatever. And he was like, well, what does that mean? Like, is Vinny not intelligent? Is Vinny an idiot or whatever? And she was like, well, I would never call you an idiot. I would never call anybody an idiot or whatever. And so he was like, he said something about being disrespected. And she was like, well, I don't feel like I was being disrespectful, or that you've disrespected me or whatever. But if you feel that way, like, I'm sorry or whatever. So then he said something else, and she got frustrated. And so she was like, you know what? I feel like I don't really want to talk about it anymore. So then he was like, well, I could just go home. So then he packed the bag, child, and he got up and left. So Bree looked real confused, child. I've been in Bree's shoes before where you just looking like, what the fuck just happened? Like, we was just chilling. Then, like, what just happened? So she looked like she was finna cry. He left. He frustrated and stuff. So now she like, well, he a little more sensitive than she is. So she got to learn how to say stuff. So now, like, you really can't even be yourself because you're not sure what you'll say that will set him off. So, like, that's a whole child. And that's why I was just like, you feel like you can be yourself around him. And now you was being yourself, being goofy, being joking and stuff like that. But he's sensitive. And now you can't even really be yourself. So now you got to downplay yourself, and child, that's too exhausting, child. That's a whole red flag right there. That's exhausting. Eric and Virginia. So I think, was they at her house? No, they was at the new house or whatever. And she looking in the cabinets, talking about something, they need more wine glasses and stuff. And child, why they go to the bedroom? Why do Married at First Sight be giving them little tiny ass beds? Like, is that a full size bed? Like, this is grown ass people. These ain't no little children. Like, what the hell? Like, my kids only had no full. Do they got full size beds of queen? Child, like, what? Like, what? They got these damn grown ass people in these low ass beds. So she was like, we gonna be real snuggled together or whatever. And so she has never lived with somebody, so she nervous about living with somebody. And he like, well, I understand how it works and stuff like that because I live with somebody or whatever, and you gotta really compromise on a lot of things. And she was like, okay, but as long as you're cool with just giving me my space or whatever. He was like, well, yeah, we talked about that you might need a day to yourself or whatever. And he's like, well, this is a marriage. Nobody really does. Well, he said this to us, that no one really does that, but I'm willing to, give her what she wants. But the way my lifestyle is anyway, I'll be gone for 15 days. She'll have 15 days to herself or whatever. So he was telling her, like, with my schedule, we'll just have to work around that. Because if I'm back for 15 days and you still need a day by yourself, which I would be like, girl, you better jump on that man for 15 days. And then when he gone for 15, 16 days, be free. But, I mean, not be free, but you know what I mean, y'all. But he said he was open for it or whatever like that. Their dogs, they playing, they getting along and stuff like that. Eric likes her apartment because it shows how, who she is and stuff like that. And just looking at her stuff. And child, he says he's allergic to cats. I really feel like he just don't like cats. And he telling her he allergic because if you allergic for real, because my ex was allergic to my cats. And cat shit, okay? I don't know no cat that don't goddamn shit. Cat, and if that, look, unless it's a naked cat, and they look creepy. I don't like the way they look. But at any rate, cat shit, okay? So, but if y'all know a cat who don't shed, let me know. Maybe I can't trade my babies out. But at any rate, y'all, that's fur everywhere. So when he walked into the apartment, he didn't sneeze, didn't cough, didn't do nothing. And she was like, So he was saying like, when he go to people's houses, he never know that they have cats because the cats don't ever come out or whatever. She was like, So you're not really allergic. He was like, no, like for real, I'm really allergic. Like I sneezed earlier. She was like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm bringing my cats to them. I'm bringing my cats. So he was like, so I'm gonna have to take allergy medicine every day. She was like, yeah. He was like, so I'm gonna have to make that a part of my life. She was like, well, my cats are a part of my life. So yes. I said, okay, get them, girl. So Pastor Kyle tells us how the first 2 days are really important and they got to be together and stuff like that. So then at Eric's house, we see the fire. It's like a bachelor pad. I liked his fireplace. That was really cute. I like the blue because blue my favorite color. And she's saying like both their decoration styles are different. And he's a bachelor, so it's going to be like a bachelor pad and stuff like that. She is already like ready to move into his place because she like, well, this house ain't gonna be big enough for 2 dogs and 2 cats, but we gonna try and make it work or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, girl. Did Pastor Kyle meet them? Yeah, he did meet them. This is when Pastor Kyle came. They was getting wine or something, and she was like, well, you're not drinking that much or something like that. And I'm like, girl, he don't have to keep up with you. Like, I'm not finna go into that all again, but like, that's just annoying, girl. If you want to drink your wine out the box, drink your wine out the box. Why are you worried about he not drinking it? Like, But Pastor Kyle come over there, and before he got there, she was saying like, I want him to be more open with my friends and stuff. When my friends come over, we have like a good time and stuff like that. And I hope he knows that this partying lifestyle is not a phase for me. This is my personality. This is how I am. I'm like, oh God. So then Pastor Kyle there, he's sitting there, they, touching and feeling and stuff like that, everything going well. They saying they don't really have no issues. And then they said they consummated their marriage. So y'all was lying the whole time? When did y'all consummate y'all marriage? But whatever. Because they just left Vegas and they was telling everybody else that they didn't do it. But then they told Pastor Kyle that they did. So I'm like, well, why was y'all lying? But whatever, y'all. Like I said, they would say they was doing good so far. Pastor Kyle asked about the age difference, and Eric was like, well, the numbers don't really mean a thing, but it's just like where we are in our life, like where she is and where I am. Like I've been where she was before. So Pastor Kyle was like the partying lifestyle, and he was like, yeah, I mean, like she wants to treat, like he was saying, like she looks at this like a boyfriend girlfriend relationship versus a marriage. And she went out with her friends one day or something like that, and he was just like, be careful, ain't nothing wrong with that, like, excuse me, y'all, he was like, be careful or whatever. don't see nothing wrong with that. Like, you telling them, all right, be safe when you go out there, all right, be careful, whatever. She thought it was weird or whatever. And then he wanted her to text him and be like, I arrived at my location. I don't see nothing wrong with that either. Like, I do that to my friends. I did that to, like, what's the issue? Like, oh, I made it to such and such or whatever. I'm here or I'm fitting to leave. Like, so they would know, like, if you didn't make it to your destination, they know, like, okay, well, last time if something, God forbid, something happened, but if something happened, like, oh, okay, last time I talked to her, she said she arrived there, so I know she got there, but what happened on the way back, or she ain't never texted me and say she got there or whatever. So she felt that was weird. Like, I haven't done that since I was 16 years old with my parents and stuff like that. So he was like, well, that's just part of being in the marriage and stuff like that. And she says she goes out on the weekends and she wants to hang out with her friends and all this other stuff, child. It was just ridiculous. And so she was saying, like, he was overly protective. Then something came up where she wanted to go somewhere with her friend, and he was just like, well, she told him, like, I'm going out with my friend, versus not asking permission, but just clearing it with him. So, like, he would know, like, you going out or something like that. And it's not asking permission. It's a hard way to explain it, but I understood where he was coming from. To me, it's like you just clearing it with your partner to see if anything was going on or whatever like that. It's not asking permission. Like, if I'm like, my friends be like, well, you want to hang out such and such. Oh, let me see what such and such doing first, and then I'll let you know. That's not asking permission. That's just respect. Like, just see what your partner is doing. Maybe your partner has something planned for y'all on Saturday or whatever like that, and you going to be like, oh, well, I'm going such and such, and then you done messed up the plans, so just clear it with them. But she felt some type of way, like he was being her daddy or whatever. So I was just like, Lord. And then she was saying, like, how she, sometimes she will get drunk and then fall asleep on her, guy friend's bed and stuff, and not bed, couch. And Pastor Kyle was like, what? And so she was like, well, I mean, they might as well just be like my gay best friend or something like that. But he was like, well, is they gay? She was like, well, no, they're not gay, but they're like my male best friend and stuff. And so Pastor Kyle was like, look, I'm married and I have a problem with that. Like, you can't just be falling asleep on nobody's couch. And I agree. Like, if you gotta get that wasted, you better get in a goddamn Uber, or you better let me know and I'm gonna come pick you up. Like, you're not finna be falling asleep on some best friend couch. Girl, is you crazy? So, she was like, well, I mean, it's not like some random person's couch or something like that. So she really wasn't listening. And so she was like, but this is what I do. Like, I just go to sleep on their couches and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, when you were single. And so she was just looking like, I mean, yeah, like, I'm thinking, like, girl, you was not ready to get married. Like, why did you get on this show? You was not ready to get married. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, you 26 years old. I don't see what the rush was to get married. Like, I just don't. Look. What was the rush to get married? Like, let me tell y'all, I read somewhere, I think it was in one of my groups, right? And the person was like, Virginia did this because she's 26 years old and she got off her parents' insurance and she needed to get married to get on somebody else's insurance. Okay, I said, oh, I mean, the shade. But that might be true. So why else would she do that? Her mentality is not ready for marriage. So I don't understand why she got on here to get married. Like, girl, what did you think this was going to be? We're going to save the trouble people for last, okay? Let's get into Clara and Ryan. So, they just all cute and cuddly and all that other stuff, child. And she like, it's good to have a built-in best friend and stuff. And Ryan and her was sitting down chatting on the couch, and he was saying like how it's like in hyperdrive mode and the honeymoon and this and that. So he ready to get back to his regular routine and stuff. So then she was like, well, maybe you can help me get into a routine and whatnot. Child, she said he said he go to bed around like 10:30. She was like, what? Then he was like on a wild night 11. She was like, who? She was like, my parents go to bed at that time. She was like, I go to bed around like 1:30. Like, I'm in the bed at like 12:30, but I'm watching TV and I may fall asleep to that. But he was like, that's non-negotiable because he needs the room dark and stuff. And she was like, okay, well, since we can't have a TV in the bedroom, then you got to agree to sleep with the fan on. He was like, all right, we could be dark and cold and stuff, our little cave or whatever. I was like, Lord. And so he says that his place is clean. Like, it looks clean on the outside. But when you open up them cabinets was a hot ass mess. He put stuff on top of the broken cabinets and stuff. And she just trying to see where she would fit into the place. And so she was saying like he had lots of space, but nothing really on the countertops and stuff. And we saw that he was messier than he acts like. So in his drawers, his clothes is just like stuffed in the drawer. They're not folded up. They're not neat or anything like that. They just like shoved in the drawer. And her place is like all colorful and stuff like that. And her husky is so cute. I love huskies. And she got her little Mishka shrine and stuff. And then we see that she's actually neater than he is. In her drawers, her clothes is folded up, rolled up where you can see like the shirts or whatever, socks and everything, like all neat and everything like that. So I was like, So of course they had that whole deal, like he'll wash and dry and she'll fold and put away. So I was like, that's a good deal because here's the way he stuffed them clothes in there, child. I was like, I think it was this Pastor Kyle. Pastor Kyle came there and he was just talking and Ryan was saying like he's really a pessimist and he hopes for the good but prepares for the bad and stuff like that. And he was saying like they're both doing good and they laid down and looked at each other and said that they was going to go for it. They was all in together and stuff. And she felt better about that. They claim they haven't found anything they disagree on. I was like, have we been watching the same show? Because y'all disagree on children. Y'all disagree on religion. Like, what? But okay. He's saying Pastor Kyle asked if they consummate the wedding, or not the wedding, the marriage. And they said no. I thought last week episode, she said that they had sex, but Ryan didn't want to talk about it. So what? And then Clara was saying, well, what we're doing well or whatever. So I was like, is y'all just doing like oral or y'all doing hand jobs? Like y'all just kissing and grinding? Like what's going on? Because in last week's episode, now y'all let me know if I'm wrong or I misinterpreted it wrong, because I can do that sometimes. But didn't it seem like she said they had sex? I thought that's what she said. But at any rate, he said he just looking for love and not sex and whatever like that. He trying to develop and grow as a couple and stuff. And she said that she not used to taking things this slow. So it's more on his side of there, slowing things down. And Pastor Kyle was like, ain't nothing wrong with that as long as no one's feeling neglected and stuff. And so then Clara was like real quiet with it. I said, she feeling a little neglected. She was quiet with it. And so then the whole love thing came up and he says that he never said the L word and he'll know when he's in love when it's a feeling that he gets that he can't explain and stuff. And so Pastor Kyle was saying like it's a love is a principle, not a feeling. It's an intellectual decision we make to fulfill another person's needs. And it's saying I'm committing myself to this person. I'm going to be there for this person. And so Ryan was like, okay. And so he was like, well, are you committed to Clara and stuff like that? And he was just like, I said that. And he was like, because you said that y'all was all in or whatever like that. And she was like, you about to make him scared, like he about to run whatever. So he was like, well, I'm just saying, like, this is a commitment and I don't care what you want to call it, but, don't be scared of that word or whatever, because, it just is what it is. And he was like, oh, okay. And so then they talked about her biggest fear and because she falls in love a lot and stuff. And Pastor Kyle was like, well, I'm proud of you for just doing it because you're open, you're willing and stuff. And when you're open like that, that leaves you vulnerable to be hurt. But he doesn't feel like Ryan will hurt her or whatever. And Ryan was saying, well, I hope not, I believe not or something. And Pastor Kyle was saying, like, you better know or something. And I was like, well, you can't really know you're not going to hurt somebody. I mean, you can try not to hurt somebody because you're not intending to hurt them, but then you could accidentally say something that will hurt them or whatever. So, like, Pastor Cal, chill out a little bit. But anyway, Hayley and Jacob, child. Ooh, child. I said, okay, Jacob. Okay. They get to the apartment. They ain't talk all day. And she like, cause he was like, well, we haven't talked all day. So like, this is our apartment and stuff like that. And she was like, well, can you understand why we ain't talk all day or whatever? And he was like, well, you're seeing what's something like you seeing somebody else or something. And she was like, that's really insulting that you keep saying that or whatever. And he was like, well, the energy was just cut off. And if you just needed a break, you should just said you just needed a break or whatever. And she was like, well, I'm not used to somebody just assuming things and bringing up stuff. He was like, well, the little white lies, they just adding up. And then I just, it hurt me and I just lost trust for you or whatever. And so then she started with the whole, like the first 2 days, we didn't know each other. We were strangers and stuff. And I tried to lean in, but it didn't really feel natural to me. And so then I kind of backed up or whatever. And he was like, well, what didn't you like or whatever? And she was like, well, I'm not used to people just assuming that I'm a liar. And he was like, well, are you serious? Because you lied. Like, you lied. Whatever. And so she was like, what are you talking about? I haven't eaten in 2 days because I've been so torn up about this. And he was like, well, I'm sorry about that, but I don't know who I'm meeting. Like, I don't know who the experts matched me up with. Did they match me up with the Hayley I met 2 days or the first 2 days or the Hayley right now or whatever? Because, like, I told them I couldn't be with somebody that's so, like, revved up and stuff, like, all high strung and stuff. And she was like, I'm high strung. He was like, yeah, you got high anxiety. She was like, oh, now you're diagnosing me. Now I got high anxiety or whatever. He was like, look, let's just take the tour of this house because it don't look like we're going to be here that long. What the hell? So then she was like, well, I think we're just different. He was like, no. He was like, yeah, we're different. We're living in 2 different realities, like actual reality and Hayley's bullshit. I said, oh God. oh God. Clutching my invisible pearls, child. So they ended up sleeping in a separate room. Hayley said this, y'all know this review about to be long, right? So Hayley said she felt drained. Jacob ended up apologizing for what he said and stuff like that. And he knew they just needed like some space or whatever. And he said, look, I'm in the guest room, so I feel like I'm married for real because she didn't put me in a doghouse or whatever. And she just hopes that he just hopes that she forgives him and they are allowed to reset. So then they go to her apartment. She still has some reservations and stuff like that, but she's willing to try. I was cracking up when he said that shirt was real Karen-like. And she was like, that's my mom's shirt. He was like, oh. I mean, well, we all got a little Karen in us when we get older. I said, just shut up, Jacob. Just shut up. So then they go to his house. Of course, he got the neon and stuff. And she's just like, So then he got 3 dogs and she got 1. He brought the 3 dogs over to the main apartment or whatever. Child, Sophie was not feeling that first dog that came in there. Chloe, the little corgi or whatever, she tried to attack goddamn Sophie. I said, oh, she do not like Sophie. And then the other dog, I think Sophie was okay with, but Chloe, she did not like Sophie at all. So I was like, how the hell are they gonna figure that out? And then I'm like, 4 dogs in that little ass apartment, child, bye. And then Bob, Hayley was like, well, I don't know how we gonna do this because Sophie come first or whatever. So then Pastor Kyle, he come visit and stuff like that. And she tells Pastor Kyle that she doesn't really feel a connection with Jacob and stuff. And I thought it was cute because Sophie was laying all on Jacob and stuff. So Sophie liked Jacob. And she was saying Jacob was saying was like no physical touch. He's real affectionate. Hayley is not. And she was trying to play into that role the first couple of days, but it got too much for her because it didn't feel natural for her. So she backed up and stuff like that. And so, she's saying like she's never been in a relationship where people just assume things about her versus talking to her. And she tells him what Jacob said. And he said it came from his past because women were cheating on their boyfriends with him. And he found out later. I said, Lord, he was the other man. So Pastor Kyle was like, look, I need you to get permission to speak your mind. You need to speak your mind, Hayley, if something is bothering you. And she was saying like she don't really want to do that because she's scared that she's going to hurt Jacob's feelings. And I feel her wholeheartedly. Like, I'd rather just not say nothing than say something, because my mouth is vicious. Like, I know when I get in a certain headspace or whatever, I'm just like, I can like cut your throat with it. But if I'm like if I love you or whatever, I'll just rather not say nothing and like quiet my voice versus saying something. So I understood what Hayley was saying. And Pastor Kyle was like, but you can't do that. You got to speak your mind. So then he was like, speak your mind right now. So she was like, well, you know, the neon is a little bit, he was like, tell him the truth. She was like, I don't like it. It's a red flag. I don't leave it in the closet and stuff like that. So they are going to try to compromise and make stuff work or whatever like that. So I thought that was really cute. They seem to be maybe trying to move on to a better path and whatever. So I thought that was really cute. Child, Chris and Paige. So we see Paige, y'all. Okay. Paige in a neutral space alone. She on the camera talking about something. She on neutral space alone. Why? Because Chris decided at the airport to tell her that he was buying a ticket to Chicago. Because he needed to clear his head for 2 days. I'm like, Chicago? Who the hell in Chicago? Because don't he live in Atlanta? Child, bye. So he said he needed some time alone or whatever, and she wanted him to experience, you know, moving into the apartment with her, but she gonna give him the space that he needs so he can process things, child. So she back on the camera, she said that Chris want to meet her, you know, or whatever, because she's still in the apartment by herself. She said Chris want to meet her, he want to talk. So she curious to see what he gonna say or whatever. She talking about something, y'all pray for me. Child, we don't see him coming in the apartment, but we hear him coming to the apartment. He's talking about something, what's up? On the screen, y'all, it said Chris would not allow production to film the conversation with Paige. I said, why does they keep giving this man so many leeway and stuff like that? Since when do they give these people so, like, these other people ain't had that option not to film? Like, the what? But he seemed like he got some inside help or something like that where he can just make decisions and all that other stuff. And I still want to know why he didn't meet her people that day when Paige met his people. Why didn't he meet her people? Like, that's still, like, we need to find out about that. But anyway, y'all, he said we hear him say that he's not the type that's going to fake shit, cameras on and cameras off. He going to be 100%, and he not here to waste his time or her time or whatever. So then we see on the screen again, Paige and Chris cut their mics, and then it said after the meeting, Paige calls the producers to share the conversation. So we see Paige on the phone. I mean, we heard her on the phone or whatever. It had her name, Paige Banks, and stuff like that. Child, she was like, he trying to get back with his ex. He say he's still in love with his ex. And she crying. She sobbing. She crying. Girl, I'm like, this is God giving you your out. Like, why are you still crying and sobbing over this man? Like, girl, bye. Like, is you that desperate for... You can't be in love with this man. Like, I can understand if she was in love and they had history or something like that. Then I can understand all the sobbing and maybe wanting to work things out with him. But you don't owe this man nothing. Y'all only 7 days, 8 days deep. Like, girl, bye. So, she like, he ain't even given a chance. And he said he wants to move forward with a divorce. And he already talked to a lawyer and everything or whatever. And like, I cannot believe this ish. I cannot believe this ish. I just feel real disgusted. It was like, with him, well, you know, being intimate with this man, like giving him everything or whatever. And so then they like really switched or whatever. Cause they was like, well, is he going to meet with Pastor Kyle? And she was like, I really don't know. And then I don't know if he came back or something happened, but we don't know what happened because she switched up real quick and she was like, man, F that. No, I'm effing done, period. Like, I went through this MFing stuff with his dramatic ass, and F you, F that B. When I meet up with Pastor Kyle, I'm airing out all this shit. I said, well, that changed fast. Like, that escalated quickly. Like, what happened? something must have happened that we didn't hear or see, because like she really switched it up real quick. And I was like, what in the world? So she says, like, last night Chris threw a bomb in her face. It really took her off guard and made her reflect on a commitment and stuff. And then we see Pastor Kyle, he arrived or whatever. And she tells him what happened from day one, like, you know, it went rocky and stuff, and they don't even know if he's gonna show up for this meeting on Pastor Cow Child. But she said that she felt like it was a disconnect on the wedding night, that she felt like he wasn't attracted to her, like, but he wanted to be intimate. So Pastor Cow, like, what? So he was like, so why would you consent to that? And so she was like, well, I consented because he was my husband and I didn't want to upset him or whatever. And I'm like, girl, he was your husband for like 2 hours. Like, girl, stop. No. And so she was like, then we had sex again. And she like, then he's going to tell me, like, I'm typically not the woman that he want. I'm not his type. And I felt that was odd. But like, he claimed that we wanted to have sex. He wanted to have sex with me to feel closer to me. And Pastor Kyle was like, that's BS. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a pastor, but that's BS, okay? And so she was like, well, yeah. And she was like, I should have noticed the red flags before, but I was committed to the process because that's why I came on here. And then he want to tell me, like, the next day, Pastor Kyle, he want to say the ex-fiance was 6 weeks pregnant. Pastor Kyle was like, what? He started laughing, and it probably was like, oh, this cannot be real laugh or whatever like that. And so he was like, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, we was in the process. She was like, yes. He was like, so he was having sex during the process? She was like, yes, we was knee deep in the process or whatever. And so Pastor Kyle was looking like, this cannot be real life. Like, this is not, are you serious right now? And so she was like, and even then I was like, well, I'm going to ride. I'm going to be here because I had people who had children. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I said, girl, shut up. And so then he was like, well, did y'all continue to have sex or whatever? She was like, and she seemed like she was embarrassed to even say that. But I'm like, girl, you continue to have sex with this man. Like, girl, like, come on now. Have some self-respect. She need to work on her self-love, self-respect, and all that other good stuff. Because, like, no. Like, and we all been fools before. I'm not going to sit here and jump on Paige case and nothing like that. Act like I ain't never been fooled or nothing like that. But, girl, no. Don't do this shit again. So, she said, like, we done had sex, like, every day, maybe, like, except for, like, 2 to 3 days, no sex. And so I'm like, so this probably, like, day 11. So 8 days y'all done had sex, and then they ain't had sex with no protection. Pastor Kyle, like, girl, what is you doing? And so then he was like, well, what if you pregnant? She was like, no, my period just came on. Praise God. You know, God is good and stuff like that. But why she had said, well, his daddy was talking about a honeymoon baby. So I don't give a if his dad was talking. Girl, first of all, you don't even know creepy daddy, okay? Creepy daddy was just creepy, okay? And then you gonna listen to creepy daddy about a honeymoon baby? Why? You don't owe Chris nothing. Girl, I need her to be, I hope Pastor Kyle and them give her some therapy because she really need it. Because anytime you want to consent to have sex with this man, even though you know that something ain't right, y'all not connecting or nothing like that, you want to have sex with him, 8 days, no protection. And then the reason why you said you had sex with him, no protection, is because his creepy ass father was saying like a honeymoon baby. If you don't shut up, Paige, like, come on now, girl. I'm here for you, sister power and all that other stuff, women power, you know, black girl power, all that other stuff. But girl, you got to wake up and do better, okay? Do better, Paige. Do better. So, she say she on her period, so praise God for that. And then she say, well, then we get back to the apartment. He gonna tell me off the record that him and his the mother of his child gonna move forward. They still in love. They gonna make it work. And she was like, this is not what I signed up for. I had aspirations of being married and stuff. And Pastor Kyle was like, well, yeah, because he needs to take this serious. And he was like, well, I take this serious because I counsel people for a living. Like, I don't do this for TV. Like, I do this in real life or whatever. Here come Chris in there. Like, this fool walking there like he on time. Like, Hey, how y'all doing? Fool, you not even that cute. You look like a whole damn sloth, and that's the insult to the damn sloth. Like, what is you coming in there for? You looking like you on time. Like, hey, how y'all doing? With that stupid ass smirk on his face. I'm like, it just irritates me. So Pastor Kyle was like, well, me and Paige been talking for a while. She tell me what's going on and stuff. And Chris like, oh, I found out because, she showed me the pregnancy test and then she went to the doctor and stuff. And, and Pastor Kyle was like, well, what you going to do? He was like, well, it's tough having another man raise your kid. What other man? Where is this other man coming from? And why another man raising your kids? So you saying if you not with the baby mama or the ex-fiance, you can't be in your child life? Like what? Like, boy, bye. You just ain't never want to be married to Paige. I feel like he wanted to get on this show, make the ex-fiance jealous or whatever, and then so she can call him up and see what he's doing and all this other stuff. I don't think he had no intentions of being married to nobody on this damn show. I think it was payback for his ex-fiance. That's my thought, and that's what I'm sticking to. But anyway, he says, then Pastor Kyle was like, well, that's something different than saying you want to be with the mom or whatever like that. And he was like, well, maybe I'm still in love with her. Is you or is you not? Yes, I said that. I said it just like that. Like, boy, bye. So he was like, well, I just feel like it's best for me and Paige to, like separate. And he was like, what, separate? He was like, yeah, like to get a divorce or whatever. So, and so Pastor Kyle was like, well, I don't know your ex-fiance, but you broke up with her, right? He was like, yeah. I said, mm-hmm. So he was like, well, you broke up with her for a reason or whatever. And not saying like, so now you saying like the reason is invalid and you wanted to work now, whatever. And he just looking like, Paige looking like, girl, boy, bye. And so she said she got the short end of the stick because she had pure intentions and he dragged me through a roller coaster. I ain't dragging through. I was real direct with you. I told you, or whatever. I told you what happened. I told you what's going on or whatever like that. And she was like, yeah, but you wanted to make it work. Then you didn't want to make it work or whatever. So then you said you ain't admire her. And so Pastor Kyle was like, but you admire her and desire her. You didn't admire her or desire her except for sex. Like, what do that mean? And so he was like, well, I'd rather not answer that question. So he was like, so you saying that she wanted it or whatever? And he was like, well, I don't want to answer that question because it's disrespectful or whatever. Because Pastor Kyle asked him like, well, why would you have sex with her if you wasn't attracted? He's talking about something he don't want to answer because it's disrespectful. Because you just wanted to smash. You wanted to just be like, oh, yeah, I fucked her and keep it moving. Like, boy, bye. He's just annoying. And so Pastor Kyle was like, well, this is an incredible woman right here. Like, she is a ride or die woman. Like, after all of that stuff you put her through, she was still like, yes, I want to make it work with him or whatever. So he was just like, so then Pastor Kyle, no. So then this fool going to say, oh, well, in my ex offense or defense or whatever, she's a great woman too. Don't nobody care about that goddamn ex-fiance if you don't shut the beep up. And so then Pastor Kyle was like, well, do you want a divorce? So she was like, well, it kind of just boils down to he still has feelings for her. I said, Paige, what you should have said was, yes. Can I get the paperwork right now? It's only been 8 days. Can we annul this shit? That's what you should have said, okay? So he like, well, it was the right decision, blah, blah, blah. Pastor Kyle hugs her, tells her that, she's an incredible woman, and yada, yada, yada. And all that. So then it's just Chris and Paige. They sit on the couch. Child, he apologizes to her and talking about something, well, I just don't want you to hate me or whatever, even though I can't change that. And so she's sitting there looking at him like she all in love and shit. And then he go over there and whisper in her ear. I said, here this sloth go. So he go whisper in her ear. And she tells us what he whispered was his fear was falling in love with her. You a whole lie. And oh my God, he is such a liar. He is such a liar. He is a manipulative, narcissistic liar. Like liar. Oh my God, liar. And so She was just like, well, I thought it was going to be clear and cut, but now I don't even know if we're going to be over or whatever. And now I'm confused. What are you confused about? Just sign the paperwork, girl. Just sign the paperwork. So then he like, well, can I get my luggage or whatever? She was like, it's in my car. So then she go down to the car. They standing there looking at each other all stupid and crazy and stuff, talking about something. And she talking about something. Well, I don't know if we done for real, like why couldn't we just be a normal boring ass couple and stuff? And then she like, well, I'ma go. So then she start walking towards the apartment. He go in his car, she's standing off to the side looking at the car speed off, and then he gone. I said, girl, and then the episode was over. Child, I'm so sick of Paige. Like, I was on her side. This damn review is long as hell. I was on her side, but the way she acting is just really getting on my nerves. Like, this man don't want you. It's clear cut that this man don't want you. He used you to get on TV. He does not want you. He just wants his ex-fiance. Give him what he wants and move on, Paige. You are an incredible, beautiful woman, successful woman. You will definitely find somebody else out there. You don't need this sloth. He will just bring you down, girl. He will bring you down with all his lies, manipulation, and all that. He is exhausting, okay? Exhausting. Even on TV. I'm not even near him, so I can just imagine what his energy is. It is just exhausting, okay? Next week's episode look like the ex-fiance, Paige and Chris gonna be meeting up. I'm like, OMG, this finna be crazy as hell. And y'all know that damn recap review gonna be long as hell. So get your popcorn before you turn it on, okay? Anyway, y'all, if y'all are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. Hit the thumbs up button and the share button as well. All right, y'all. Until next time. Peace. And again, if y'all stayed to this long, y'all are the real MVPs, and I love y'all.